Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of Aftermath TV. Caroline here alongside the regular crew, former WWE referee Jimmy Corderas, former WWE superstar Anthony Corelli, and the one and only Nug.
I want to give a quick shout out to my hometown hockey team, the Clinton Radars. They won the WOAA Senior A Hockey Championship for the third year in a row.
What?
Sending out a little radar love to the Radars in my hometown. Nice work, boys. Break up the Radars. They're too good. They're too good.
No, keep them going. I want
Incredible.
4P.
And I
Four
love
P?
the rated R superstar shirt.
There you go. Classic Edge.
All right, guys, let's get this show started with one of the biggest stories this week, last week in WWE, featuring Daniel Bryan.
And over the last 2 months, I've asked WWE to re-look at my case. And they sent me to the best neurologist all over the country. And all of these neurologists, every specialist, every doctor I've seen has said the same thing, and it is this: you are cleared. I don't know exactly when or where I will get back in this ring.
Those words, are you cleared? And he is. Are we surprised?
To be honest with you, yes, I am, because of the issues that he had in the past. But at the same time, I'm so happy for him, and not because he can get back in the ring and compete for the WWE and have great matches. I'm just happy for him from a personal standpoint that he's healthy enough to do it. And I think that's what's getting lost in this whole thing. I think a lot of people are more excited about him getting back in the ring. I'm more excited about the fact that he is healthy, and this is a good sign going forward for CTE education. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of different things here to discuss. One, I didn't know that you can get better once your brain has a certain amount of damage, whether it be from concussions or CTE. But apparently, I don't know if he trained his brain because he's an avid reader. Can you do exercises?
Hyperbolic chamber, he did a lot.
Did he really?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's great news because sometimes I get confused and I get overwhelmed. But when I was in Japan, I watched The American Dragon, and I saw him in articles, and I've been a fan of his from before I ever met him. And it's kind of cool when I met him, I was kind of a fan of his. Also, he's one of the shorter guys, like me. The locker room is full of big giants, and so I'm living vicariously through him, one for the short guys.
There you go.
And the fact that he's back, and if you know him, you know how much this means to him. This is really all he does and has. He can try and do other things. He would be unhappy. He's capable, but he wouldn't be completely happy like he is now. This is what he's made for. This is what he loves. And this has to be an amazing feeling for him to get that news and get back in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm just happy he's back. It's kind of a storybook thing, like he had to retire after WrestleMania a few years ago in New Orleans, and now he's maybe coming back for WrestleMania in New Orleans. But who knows now after the vicious beating he took from Sami and Kevin at the end of last week's SmackDown. So
You know what I love? Like, of course, we're all happy for him, but so are other superstars. We saw superstars tweeting and posting Instagram posts, and same with the universe. So my question for you guys, and Nug, you can start us off, is should people temper their expectations a little bit? He is coming back for the first time in a while. How should they receive that?
I would not expect him, personally, I would not expect him to go at 100% Daniel Bryan. I mean, Daniel always kind of ran at 110% anyway, and I'm hoping he doesn't because it's baby steps. When you're first back in the ring, it's baby steps. We saw little of him in action last week taking on Sami and Kevin, and he looked great, but at the same time, he was doing a couple of things that made me go, hey, maybe not right away. I want him to stick around.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. He's not going to, the only thing might be there's a certain type of cardio conditioning you need for that, so that might be a bit off, but he's been doing this for so long. Now, there's an underlying story to every single match he has. What if he gets hit in the head?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he more susceptible for this type of trauma to the brain? I hope he can avoid that, you know?
Exactly, but you're right. It's kind of like riding a bike too, because I've spoken to Chris Jericho about this, and it's one of those deals. Like, yes, the cardio is an issue, but once you get back in the groove, it all kind of comes back to you. What I'm worried about is, the only thing is, if you try to be cautious sometimes, that's when stuff happens that you don't want to happen. So, you know, the hardest thing I think is going to be for him to keep that out of his mindset where, hey, I got to be cautious right now, and that might cause more problems.
That's very true. That happened to me. I would focus so much on not allowing my head to snap back, and then it was doing it more.
Yes.
I think we could all agree on that we'd rather have Daniel Bryan healthy over everything. We're excited to see him back in the ring, but health overall. And moving on to another injury, we saw that Shane McMahon was hospitalized.
Yeah.
So here's my question for you guys: is we have the SmackDown GM returning to competition, and then we have the SmackDown commissioner out of the picture because he's injured. What does this mean for the SmackDown picture overall?
It's going to be interesting to see where it goes. It all depends, I think, on Daniel Bryan, whether he returns to wrestle on a full-time basis, or is it kind of like a Brock Lesnar schedule, or even like a Kurt Angle thing where it's a special deal when he goes in and has a match, and that's what I'm hoping for, because Daniel Bryan is one of those once-in-a-generation athletes that connects with the entire universe, not just the diehard, hardcore, enlightened guys, and not just the casual fans. He gravitates to everybody. So to have him as a special attraction, I think works in this case, and that will also limit the chances of more damage.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I know what he's going to do. He's gonna dive in 100% and be back full time.
Well, wouldn't you?
What?
Right? You're eager,
Heck
right?
Yeah, I would, yeah. And you know, but there's definitely a vacancy with regards to some type of commissioner or general manager on SmackDown. I'm busy. Obviously, I'm here. Don't call me. But I'm just, come on, wrestle already. And he does connect with everybody. Yeah. He's with every single buddy. I mean, like if your wife watches wrestling, if you're a young kid, if you're a smart mark, everybody loves Daniel Bryan, including me and everybody here. And it was really, really genuinely awesome news, like emotional for everybody around the world that knows what he went through, because he achieved one of the highest of highs you could have in the wrestling business, and then his father passed away, and it kind of robbed him from that moment. And then he's had this ongoing depression and this having his career taken away. I mean, then he had the lowest of lows, and now he has, you know, his daughter, and it's like he's getting back up again with positive things in his life and anyway, so he's got his life back.
He absolutely is. And for SmackDown, we have no authority figures on SmackDown now, and Sami and Kevin were fired at the end of the last episode. I'm waiting to see what happens with Sami and Kevin tonight. I'm waiting to see if anyone steps up to be in charge, and I'm waiting to see if Daniel Bryan shows up tonight. I'm going to be watching just to see if he shows up.
It's funny you mentioned that, because since the firing, El Generico has been tweeting again. I find that just odd.
That's an interesting coincidence.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that, though.
And then another injury. I feel like there's too many. AJ Styles is rumored to have a knee injury. What does that mean for him, the WrestleMania picture, him taking on Shinsuke? Yeah, that's got to be tough, especially right now.
Absolutely. I mean, like going into WrestleMania, it almost seems like it's one of those bad stretches of injuries. And knowing AJ, though, I'm sure he's going to get healthy enough and come back.
Yeah, nobody wants to get hurt right in the middle of prime WrestleMania season. We're literally knocking on the door of WrestleMania. It's like 12 days away at this point or less. Nobody wants to get hurt at this point. And if you are hurt, you kind of want to power through it to get to WrestleMania. But that also might not be the best idea for you.
Definitely not the best thing to do, but I'm sure he will do it.
Oh, yeah.
And we will never know exactly how hurt he is, because he's going to make it seem better because he wants to compete. He has to compete. You wait all year for this.
Yeah.
And
Even
it's right there.
Yeah.
On one leg.
On one leg,
Tape
he's
it
still
up.
pretty good.
Tape it up.
Well, like Nug said, WrestleMania is less than 2 weeks away, so we'll see what AJ Styles does, because we know that anything can and everything will happen, just like in Far Cry 5. And it's available today, so if this is something that interests you, be sure to check it out. But in the meantime, we know what Johnny Gargano's OMG WrestleMania moment is, and we want to share it with you. Check it out.
My name is Johnny Gargano, and my OMG WrestleMania moment has to be when Shawn Michaels beat Bret the Hitman Hart in the Iron Man match. And as a child, Shawn Michaels was my guy, okay? I dressed like Shawn Michaels, I act like Shawn Michaels, I danced like Shawn Michaels around my house, and Bret Hart was leaving with a championship. That wasn't supposed to happen. Shawn Michaels was supposed to achieve his boyhood dream and win the WWE Championship. And then finally, they restart the match, we go to overtime, Shawn Michaels hits sweet chin music, pins Bret Hart, 1, 2, 3. Lost my little, I believe, 8-year-old mind at that point. Lost my little 8-year-old mind when Shawn Michaels won the championship, and that was my OMG WrestleMania moment.
OMG Moments. Brought to you by Far Cry 5. Anything can happen and everything will. Available now. Rated M for mature.
As promised, we sat down with Raw Women's Champion last week, Alexa Bliss, and we got to see another side to the superstar, and it was really exciting. Here's her interview with Nug.
I didn't want to be that guy, but I wore this today.
I'm glad you were.
I wanted to talk about this because this looks like an old horror movie poster. And I know at one time your gear sort of looked like Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
And you've had a lot. You've had like an Iron Man and a Joker and a Riddler kind of thing.
Yes.
Chucky.
Chucky, yes.
Are you a big
No one
nerd?
picked up on Chucky.
Oh, the Chucky thing was the best. You were the good
I
girl.
was the
that
most
said-
proud of the Chucky gear, and no one picked up on it.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
Now you got a little bit of cosplay going on. I imagine something's coming up for Mania. But are you a huge fan of this kind of nerdy stuff? Do you like comic books and horror movies?
Absolutely. I am such a horror movie buff. There's all these different horror movies that I've tried to actually do outfits like, but some of them are just too hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't walk out in a Jason mask. Like,
No,
that's
you
not,
can't.
you can't do that.
That's demolition. You can't do
exactly.
that.
You can't. So, like, there's just things that, you have to work your way around it, and then there's legal. So my Riddler gear for Mania, WrestleMania last year, had to be redone completely because
It
the
was
first
too
set
close?
was too close. So I had to wipe from scratch, had to redo it, and it was about a week before WrestleMania.
Oh, man.
So everything has to be cleared. So everything has been, it's there's a lot to it.
You can't pick a character that's too big or else you're going to get noticed. But
Yeah.
if you pick like a side character, like this year, my gear is Red Tornado. No
Yeah,
one's going to know.
exactly.
You got to stay under the radar. Now, the glove, is that sometimes you have this silver glove?
Yeah.
Is that a Freddy Krueger kind of
So I actually did the Freddy Krueger glove. I made my own Freddy Krueger glove because I've always worn the skeletal hands just because I thought they were cool. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But the Freddy Krueger hand, I added the spikes to the glove and rhinestoned them, made them like, my version
Yes.
of a Freddy Krueger glove because I can't walk out with an actual Freddy Krueger glove.
can't.
But yeah, it's always a lot of fun. Like, it's always been something that, what can I do with this character to make it my own?
Yeah. It's fantastic, and you are making it your own, which is really fun to see. Now, I have to ask, I follow you on Instagram, but I notice a lot of Starbucks. There's a lot of coffee going on. Now, I don't think you're quite the coffee snob that Cesaro might be.
No, I'm not.
But you have your own particular tastes.
I do. I'm addicted.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll admit that. So there was a Starbucks that opened near my house, like 2 streets down, and as soon as I saw the coming soon sign, I was worried for my health. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I was like, oh no, that's not good. But I love coffee.
And I
have to
assume
live on it.
you're a gold card member.
Oh, I literally have so many points at Starbucks. I could probably live on a year without paying for coffee.
That's
it's
the best.
bad.
So do you go nuts on your birthday when you get the free drink?
Oh, of course.
Do you go for the
course.
most expensive thing, even if it's something you don't want?
No, because I have my own set coffee that I have every morning, and I can't, venture away from it. I've now introduced one other drink into my, repertoire if they don't have sugar-free mocha. So that's like that's been new for me.
And is it one of these crystal ball lattes? Or
No,
these...
but I do want to try it. So I went to Starbucks this morning, and the
Yeah.
lady said it tastes like peaches and cream, which really threw me off because it's blue.
It gets me because it's got edible glitter in it. I don't know how that works. There's glitter in the drink, and
What?
apparently you can eat this glitter.
That's
You used to throw
amazing.
glitter, so why not?
Yeah, why not?
So what is the Alexa Bliss coffee order?
Oh, it's a venti iced blonde Americano with sugar-free mocha, almond milk, and 2 Splendas.
Goodness gracious. I usually just get a black coffee and maybe
that
put a
used to
half a
be me.
Splenda in it.
That
so.
used to be me.
But so now you go deluxe.
Yeah.
Every
Now
time?
I'm that person. I'm that person I used to make fun of at Starbucks. I'd be like, you have such a difficult order, like that snob, and now I'm that person.
But if you're ordering that in line in front of me, I'm not saying anything because you'll murder me.
No.
She would.
The next time you're at Starbucks, try ordering Alexa Bliss's order if you can remember it.
Or order before her so you can get your coffee.
Yeah. You want that Alexa Bliss order, but it's like, I can't remember it.
I know, I was trying in my head, I'm like, okay, venti, blonde.
Sugar-free mocha.
Yeah, there's some sugar-free mocha, there's some almond milk, it's an iced blonde Americano, I want to say.
Is venti large?
Yeah, it's 20 ounces, is venti.
Okay.
Pro tip, venti
It
means
still
20.
confuses me, I don't care.
Okay, for real, what do we think about the superstar?
I think she's awesome. I mean, she's
too.
showing a different side there. Obviously, when she's in the ring, there's a little bit of a difference in attitude. But I like that she's very playful as well.
Yeah, and she was homegrown performance center talent. I don't even think she was in FCW. I think she was NXT from scratch. So it's a lot to absorb. There's tons of information. It takes years and years. And considering all that, she's doing a fantastic job. She's obviously an excellent personality inside and outside of the ring. Very likable, and she was very fun, I thought.
It's amazing how likable she was for our interviews, and then how despicable she's been on camera lately, taking down Nia Jax, saying all these horrible, mean things about her. And so there is part of me that really wants to see her get what's coming to her from Nia Jax at Mania.
I'm so happy you said that because I totally agree. Like seeing her and talking to her in person, you're like, how can she be so mean to Nia when she's in the ring? But it's totally her character. And then that brings up a great question. What do we think it's going to be like between Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania, fighting for that championship? It'd be crazy.
This is a very emotional fight here. This is not a couple of surgeons dissecting each other. This is, you hurt me, and I'm going to hurt you. And I do not want to be in the receiving end of Nia Jax's broken heart.
No, I think Alexa can outthink, or thinks she can outthink Nia Jax, but I think Nia Jax is just going to destroy her if she gets her hands on her.
This could be a large SUV versus a subcompact.
100%.
I love Alexa Bliss, but am I wrong for hoping Nia Jax takes this?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, she's worked really hard and she deserves it.
Okay, awesome. All right, when we're back from break, more Alexa Bliss. You just can't get enough Bliss, right? No
Right.
such thing. There's no such thing. John Cena will be going head-to-head against Triple H at the Greatest Royal Rumble match. This is exciting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, if you look past WrestleMania, and we look back in the past, and there's very few superstars left that would qualify for an icon versus a future icon match. And this is one that definitely qualifies with John Cena and Triple H. I mean, Triple H, let's face it, he is an icon in this business. John Cena will be considered an icon once he decides to hang it up. And the last time we had anything close to this was the end of an era at WrestleMania between Taker and Triple H. And then before that,
Take
WrestleMania.
Shawn Michaels.
No.
Oh.
Even before that, Hogan and Rock.
Oh, Hogan and Rock, that's right. This is going to be interesting. That also means that those two guys aren't in the Greatest Royal Rumble, and there's 50 guys in that Rumble, so there's two that aren't. So now we've got to figure out who else is going to be in that match. But any Triple H John Cena match at any time is going to be fantastic. This one's going to be unreal.
There's some interesting dynamics taking place here. One, you know, Triple H obviously was a high-level sports entertainer who's now a part of the executive side of things. And John Cena was the biggest superstar that the company had for a decade. But he had some influence, but he wasn't formally part of the executive side of the company. So there's been some, I wouldn't say direct power struggles, but they were kind of coexisting.
Right.
And both had influence, and I think that kind of underlying storyline makes the match a little more exciting because they do not want to lose to each other.
No.
So they're definitely going to bring the best out of each other, and let's see who wins this.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. And for you Ask Aftermath fans who sent in questions for Alexa Bliss, we did our very best to get all of them answered, and this is what Little Miss Bliss had to say. Good news for you guys who asked a question, we're gonna get them answered. So, are you ready for this?
Yes.
You got a lot of questions, so a lot of fans cheering you on.
Perfect.
From Anth Brennan, what would you say to those who might think you got to where you are based on appearance and not hard work / great mic skills?
Well, I would have to say that if I had to say that I was hired and it wasn't based on my looks, that would be a lie, because I did a diva search and I didn't have to get in the ring. I just had to stand there, and I got hired because of that. But the developmental system is no joke, and people don't understand the hard work that I've put in to get here. You know, my first promo wasn't what it is now. I cried my first promo class because I couldn't speak in front of people publicly. And so, you know, if people think that, you know, I've gotten to where I am because of my looks and my promo skills, then look back the last 3.5 years. You know, I've worked my butt off, and I'm very proud of what I've accomplished, and you know, people don't realize what our schedule really entails, and most people can't do what we do.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, you're not just another pretty face. You're a good person, and you work hard, and your work speaks for that. From Dave Coat 10, despite your obvious athleticism, does your height pose any unique challenges?
I try to use my height as an advantage. You know, I've noticed there's not many people who are my height in this business, and so you know, it's fun to play off of that. You know what I mean? It's what makes me me and unique.
Tiny but mighty.
Exactly.
I love it. From Samo Grande, do you like to watch your own matches to improve, or do you watch older wrestling matches and draw inspiration from them?
Both. So when I first started in NXT, I would always watch my matches back, 100% of the time, because you have to learn. You have to see what you're doing wrong, what you need to improve on. And a lot of times now I'll watch my matches back to see the same thing, but I'll most of the time watch older matches to get inspiration, because you know, we've had so many different kinds of matches, you always need that inspiration.
Right. Okay, from Polly455, who is your all-time favorite player from your hometown, Columbus Blue Jackets?
Rick Nash.
Ooh, that's quick. Good question, Polly. All right, Chris Spears, 80. Wait, do you think Columbus Blue Jackets are doing well in this season? Do you see them having a playoff
I
game?
hope so, because I went to the playoff game last year, which was on a complete fluke. I just happened to be in Columbus for Raw, and I got to stay that weekend, and the Blue Jackets were having a game that next day, and I got to go, which was super exciting. So I'm really hoping they do, because I want to be able to go back to Columbus and go to a game.
Absolutely. I like the Blue Jackets too. From Chris Spears, 84, was there a former women's wrestler that has inspired you as far as your character?
Ooh, my character. Obviously, you know, when Trish was a bad guy, you know, there's a lot to be taken from that, like her mannerisms and the way she composed herself. I always watched some of that, but I try to make everything kind of, you know, my own, because I don't want to be the next somebody. I want to be the Alexa Bliss.
Oh, I love that. That's a good answer. From That Hada Guy, how would you feel about a secondary title for the ladies, like an IC or US title?
I think it'd be awesome. You know, as many opportunities as we can get for our women, I think would be amazing. I would love to see our women even have a tag division one day.
Yes. Can we all agree about how awesome she is? I just want the Aftermath TV fans at home to know just how genuine and just authentic Alexa Bliss is.
That was early in the morning. She was happy to be here. She had no problems, and yeah.
And her saying the tag belt should be up for the ladies? Yes.
Yes.
Any secondary belt.
All Ask Aftermath fans, keep sending in your question using the hashtag AskAftermath, and please send in questions for any future superstars we may have here at Sportsnet. Enjoy the next episode of SmackDown Live, and we'll see you all next week.
What? Yeah, we're done.
Over.
Questions will be
It's
answered
over.
tonight.
Yeah. Sorry.